next team is called Recharge. It's a team made up of Chevening alumni from India and Sri Lanka. Presenting today will be Rustam Sengupta, and then answering questions is Ashwin Sabapathy. Over to you.
Thank you very much. I hope everyone can hear me clearly.
Yep.
Perfect. So good afternoon or good morning or good evening, wherever you are. We're super happy and proud to present our policy intervention for the solution that we think can create a disruptive big change. And our solution is obviously made out of the team, which has come from both policy advisors, practitioners, as well as financial experts. So I'll jump straight in. Next slide, please. The challenge that we are addressing is not difficult to understand, and it's not a solution that's not being proposed. We all know that electrification of transportation is going to give us the biggest shift in the needle towards fighting climate change. And in a country like India, with a population of nearly 1.5 billion right now in that whole region, that is what we need to do. But the problem here is that all the policy support right now, and even some of the great government policies, are focused more on the urban areas. While if you look at the trends that's happening for the next 10, 15 years, most of the real demand would come from the rural areas, the hinterlands, the tier 3 cities and beyond. But is where we need the electrification of transportation to happen. And that's where power is unreliable, charging facilities are not there, and there's no financial viability to set up these structures. Next slide, please. So our solution is simple. Our solution is something that's already palatable by the policymakers, but there are needs from the policy side. It's a power hub, partially charged by solar or renewables, where every electric vehicle can come, charge itself, or be sold, or be repaired, or be rented out. We are trying to capitalize on the greenification or the electrification of the agricultural sector. Hundreds of different mechanized agricultural vehicles like tractors, threshers, harvesters, which need to get electrified and need a place to come and get charged. So the solution in itself is actually very commercially viable, is waiting to happen in a few years. But the pilots have proven that there's a little bit policy and financial help is required. Next slide, please. The impact will be huge. And this is a story we don't really have to explain. It really moves. We did all our calculations and financial modelings from the climate impact, definitely moves the needle on the climate change and provides us a very cheap way of mitigating carbon dioxide. More importantly, it also unlocks the other additional benefits that can happen from electrification of transportation and also from the penetration and acceleration of just good quality transportation in terms of healthcare, education, and lots of pilots have already been done. So we're at a good stage. Next slide. So what needs right now is how do we create an ecosystem where we can accelerate this to happen? It's going to happen, but according to our models is probably this policies we have right now, maybe 10, 15 years out. So how do we accelerate it? How do we ensure that every rural district in India has an integrated power hub or a charging hub where electric vehicles and agricultural machines can come and get charged? 4 ways. We need a governance policy, and it's already there in the solar sector in India, in NABARD, and other ministries. We need that to now look at electric charging and create a nodal agency for charging sensors in rural areas. We need the technical solution to be feasible. We need some government policy which governs the standardization of quality so that all the OEMs and the different producers come together. And very importantly, we need a financial solution so that entrepreneurs, like I was before, or anybody else, sees an incentive to come and set up a charging station. Whether they come in from as an OEM, whether they come in as a big car company, whether they come in as a petrol station which wants to convert, or just a simple entrepreneur who wants to come in, there has to be a financial incentive to do that, a way to ensure that their IRR is maintained. And finally, we need a capacity building infrastructure. We need these charging stations to become a little hub of activity where people who come in are trained, where people can maintain these, and this can be something that's sustainable in the last mile. So like I mentioned, none of these are stuff that comes out of the ordinary, and that's why we propose them, because we know that we need to shift the policy support slowly. And all these are different financial and policy mechanisms which have been tried in the renewable energy, but we need to bring them and customize them in the EV charging space for rural India. If we do that, we unlock millions of vehicles getting electrified and really making a big shift. Thank you.
Thank you, Rustam. Spot on 5 minutes there. Wonderful. We have a question from Hasib, our judge. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rustam, for a very exciting proposal. But I couldn't, I can see the impact, I can see the elements are there, the governance is there, we have piloted it, there are certain sectors. But the things we have proposed, all the 5 changes, but I can't see that despite knowing all these things, we understand that big push is needed, but still don't see it. What is actually lagging behind? Because we know incentive is needed, infrastructure is needed, but what is going on? I mean, that X factor is not there. What do you think?
Exactly. Thank you so much. It's a brilliant question. And my visit to Dhaka or Mirpur last time, I could see why we need to electrification when I was stuck in traffic. So it's a great question. And you're absolutely right. From the periphery, it seems that all the individual parts are there and have been tried in different spaces. So for example, there have been interest subsidies which have been tried in renewable energy power plants. There has been loan guarantees which have been tried. What I think we need to do right now is consolidate all the effort and trigger the fire. And I think the triggering of the fire is going to happen through agricultural mechanization. So if you get the incentive for these huge agricultural machine companies to sort of come in and see this from the fact that they're already 30,000 plus tractors which are sold in India alone every year. If they start seeing an incentive where their last mile support for electrification is policy driven or has a mandate or has a focus, then I think you can really come in. So that our goal over here is to ensure that we actually create this last mile infrastructure which incentivize these big agricultural mechanization to happen. And to do that, we need to sort of unlock the entrepreneurial capital that is there in places like Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, or India, where entrepreneurs see an incentive to set up these hubs. And in these hubs, they are assured by the government that, okay, this land is there and lease for a long time. I don't have to bother about that. I can get a low interest loan, which is for the long term and a low interest. I have some interest rate subsidies, which basically means they can make some kind of an investment, both money and time wise, to set it up. But Hasib, this is definitely it's a brilliant question, because we see this this will happen trickle in over a long period of time. But the real trigger is to get all the parties together and do a very holistic research on what we can get kickstarted on. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Rustam. Seems to be a topic of interest in the chat, so lots of questions there as well.